et centrale, mais rassurez-vous, on va... Parole, bien entendu. Et puis on va se...
On a monté un projet, on va remplacer les canettes de la café avec un éco-club.
Vous êtes à la recherche de tout ce qui rend... Tu peux lire? Je crois pas.
Chers élèves, vous êtes à la recherche de tout ce qui rend la ville de Caen durable. Votre mission est de parcourir les infrastructures de la ville et de réaliser les défis proposés.
Une fois le défi réalisé, vous obtiendrez un mot indice qui vous permettra de trouver le mot-clé.
Vous allez d'abord, avec l'application Mirage Make, scanner le QR code qui se trouve ici. Avec le QR code, vous allez avoir accès.
C'est tout à fait ça. Vous avez tout trouvé, bravo.
Il n'y a pas un peu de la paix?
Si.
On est un peu mal barré.
Oui, ça y est, on a eu un
C'est quoi?
Ah, on le dira pas, c'est un secret.
C'est un trousseau de clés. Une molette. C'est
Une clé à molette. C'est clé. C'est clé.
C'est bon, allez, on est parti. Il faut aller en haut.
Allez, bon.
C'est bon, j'ai le mot de passe. C'est clé. J'ai le bras, je vais tout seul.
Cherbourg.
Du lycée du Golfe, à Dieppe.
Au lycée Val-de-Seine à Grand-Quevilly.
Le lycée agricole de la baie du Mont-Saint-Michel. Du lycée agricole d'Ifto.
Allez, c'est parti.
Il faut comprendre qu'il faut faire attention à la planète parce qu'on en a une, on n'en a pas deux.
Déjà qu'il y a énormément de gaspillage par année.
Nos thématiques qui nous touchent le plus, c'est dans l'environnement handicap. Handicap.
L'an passé, 800 personnes. Cette année, on a dépassé les 1000 élèves mobilisés dans toute la région. Voilà la relève. Et là, ce que vous attendiez, voilà, c'est magnifique.
La capacité que nous avons tous à dire on ne va pas accepter ça.
Mais en y réfléchissant bien, notre projet pourrait même s'appliquer plus globalement. Et être
en 4 étages. Le premier étage, c'est celui avec les déchets.
Des hommes, des femmes et des enfants, à qui donc le prix du public est remis à l'Institut.
Forcément, je suis super content d'avoir gagné, mais je pense qu'il continue d'avoir des initiatives comme ça, bah, c'est surtout la planète qui va y gagner, quoi.
It's a good summary. Of course, everybody can move forward better. We can win. We are here for the Parliamentarians for Peace, PFP. We're here from the Normandy region, and we're going to try to introduce or present Mr. Nawaz Sharwari, who is a minister, a previous minister in India. He's also currently working at a think tank, and also, so here he is. I give the floor to Mr. Mewaj.
I hope I'm audible. All of you can hear me. Thank you very much to the Normandy Forum and the Open Diplomacy Institute to give us all parliamentarians a chance to be able to interact with you. It's absolutely energizing to see so many young people in a room together, especially after the past 18 months and what COVID-19 has really done to both our planet and to humankind. It's great here being in Normandy, and thank you very much for having us. I was just trying to get a sense of what exactly did this global walk entail for all of you. And I think what's most important is that given what's happened in the world over the past year and a half, the sustainable goals for development become all the more imperative, they become all the more germane. I come from a country which is relatively a much younger country. As my friend and colleague Thomas was reminding me, our median age is just about 28.4 years. If you were to compare that to France, I think the median age of the population is about 43.4 years, if I recall correctly from the top of my head. And so therefore, in our part of the world, and of course, we are a huge part of the world, 1.35 billion people and growing, it is but natural to concentrate on future generations. And a large part of that concentration has now for decades been on education, because we have finally achieved a universalization of both primary and secondary education. And we do believe that if we are able to educate our young people properly, we can make them more responsible, or far more responsible, global citizens. Because as the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated, there are no longer national silos. What happens in one country, in this particular instance, what originated in China, has impacted the world as a whole. And so therefore, from every perspective, be it the challenge of climate change, be it the challenge of natural disasters, which have been occurring with a frequency that we have not seen before, whether it is the challenge of dealing with ungoverned spaces in the world, the challenge of ensuring that each and every one of the 8 billion people on planet Earth is educated, he or she lives a healthy life whereby he can qualitatively contribute to both the betterment of his community, his society, his nation, and the world at large. These sustainable development goals become all the more germane. Yes, of course, we are at different levels of development in different parts of the world. For example, in South Asia, we are not where Europe is, or for that matter, other parts of the world are not where Europe is, which possibly is by far the most developed and most integrated region in the world. But be that as it may, I think these goals, these objectives are a shared responsibility, and therefore in each person or each community in its own measure needs to contribute towards it, because only in that manner would we be able to ensure the survivability of our planet, because some of the issues which stare us in the face are existential in nature. And especially young people, younger generations, who are going to be the inheritors of this planet, I think you have a far, far greater responsibility, which unfortunately we as a generation are passing on to you. And I would strongly urge and recommend that you work with younger people all across the globe, create coalitions like the Open Diplomacy Institute has created the Parliamentary Coalition, so that all of us are able to talk to each other and, more importantly, listen to each other, because the most important part of a conversation is not talking, but to be able to listen to the other person and then arrive at certain holistic solutions which can be implemented across the board. I have some very enlightened colleagues with me, and rather than make it into a monologue, we would want to have a dialogue with you whereby we would like to listen to what you have to say, and we'll try and respond to the best of our ability. Thank you very much once again for having us amongst you.
Thank you so much.
So we just heard in his speech, Monsieur, from the MP, we've heard that it's really important to listen. We spoke about it yesterday. It's very important to know how to listen. Let's look at an aside. Would it be possible to disinfect the microphone so that we can respect all of the COVID-19 rules that have been put in place by the region? So let's continue with the work done by our high school students in 2019 and 22. They've worked on what's called 13 ideas. They're working to fight against climate change. And I think the best idea is to actually ask those who are working to come up. Please come up to the floor, Léo Gourou and Camille Cléon. So you've done a lot of things. You did the walk, the global walk. You not only put it together, but you also participated. Of course, you can take your masks off. So let's start with Leo. What did you do? please share with us what exactly you did and what you put together. First and foremost, good afternoon to everyone. So we did a lot of work, especially a big thanks to Alexandra, who helped us with Walk to Work. It's part of an environmental agenda that we had put together. So you put together an agenda which was called Wishes and Challenges. Wishes and Challenges. So nowadays, right here, we have interpreters. So let's try to slow down a little bit, which will allow the interpreters to correctly interpret. Yeah, no problem. So we've put this together to be able to transmit to high school students here in France at the Joseph High School in here in Caen, things that they can do on a day-to-day basis to change their daily lives. Quite simply, for example, how to save electricity. It's a very small jest, but it's something that does save electricity. We spoke a lot about it last year. So you set forth in your book various challenges. You're not making people feel guilty. You're saying, for example, challenge 1, reduce the amount of time that you spend in the shower, which at the end of the month reduces the amount of water you use. Yes, that's true. That's what we've done. Just participate in these ecological, environmental friendly actions. We all know that we, for example, for water we use a lot, so we wanted to include that in the agenda. So you're in the Saint-Joseph High School in Le Havre, which is close to here. How many did you distribute? We sold them, actually, for €2 each. And we sold about 200, keeping in mind that we were selling them during the COVID period, but we did sell quite a few. Many people told us that they weren't aware of the fact that this agenda actually did exist, but we were able to sell quite a few. And the feedback that we received was very positive. Everyone was really interested, so it was very, very positive. Camille, one question for you. Why, how were you able to, and what made you really start working on this, to start working on the Walk to Global Walk? But not only, where does this desire come from, and what is your actual objective? What is your goal? Please take your mask off if you wish also. It started in a class competition. And we realized that actually we have something to say, and that this voice needs to be heard, and that people around us really listen to us, especially the adults, that they realize what we're saying and that they acknowledge it, and that it's actually useful. So did you feel that the way adults see you and the actions that you were doing concerning this agenda, A to Z, was there a way, did they start looking at you in a different way? Yes, I think they trusted us more. Maybe they don't see us as adults, but I think they see us more on an equal footing, if you like. And the people who have actual ideas to share. Of course, I'm not talking about all adults, but beforehand, you didn't feel that this was the case. I'm not talking about the teachers, of course, but is it always the case that you weren't really listened to that well and that you were not seen as an equal? Yeah, that's true. Some adults see us as children, of course, as immature people. But actually, with our project, they saw that we can have good ideas, and that actually we were able to put our opinions forward. So you answered a survey that was put together by the Institute, And this led to a guide for tomorrow's Normandie, Normandie de demain. So can you please talk to me a little bit of what you've done here? So, for example, you're talking about waste management, wasting food, and you were able to take part in a regional committee about this. Yes, actually, it's true. This project with Alexandra and her team, it's thanks to her that we were able to work so hard on this project. So we were able to come together with a few young people from the region, and we wanted to change things. And we wanted to show a few ideas that we maybe had. And through this small notebook, with a few ideas in it, we were able to reunite, as I said beforehand, various ideas and be listened to. And this is the end result of being listened to, of the exchange. We put together this little notebook. It shows that if you listen to other people, then it's something that bears fruit. If you listen to it, definitively bears fruit. So we look about natural disasters, and then you mapped national disasters, the possibilities in Normandy, and then how you can work with professionals or experts to fight against the disastrous situations of natural calamities. So Camille, do you also feel that you are involved in these vast challenges that are accompanied by global warming? Yeah, I think so. I think it's a problem that we're going to face in the next few years, of course. So how do we move forward? We see that there's a lot of energy, passion, engagement in this notebook. So what are you going to do after? So after, we're going to continue working on this. We have co-published this small notebook, and we thought, for example, how can we increase energy sustainability in schools? And we want to put that workshop together in various how to increase and repair, for example, bicycles, which is a way to decrease our impact on the environment. And not only bikes, but also, for example, like household objects. You don't have to throw it away if it doesn't work. It can be repaired. Some things are quite easy to repair. For example, the example you gave are bikes. So afterwards, in other words, we don't want to do really big projects, but we also have to think about day-to-day projects. Of course, we're not going to just stop with this notebook. And Camille, do you think you want to work in this? Yes, I would love to work in this area. I would like to work in environmental conception, so environmental design, in industrial matters. So, for example, how can we design products that are better for the environment? So before we go further, would you like to give any tips to your fellow students? We're listening to what you have to say. So what could be your tip or advice to people who would like to go farther with these projects? I think my main tip is that you really have to give it a try, even though it might be quite scary. So give it a try, ask, get information. Even if somebody says you're not able to do this for X, Y, Z reasons, you have to say maybe they're just saying that because nobody's tried. So if we do try, then nobody will ever, if you don't try, nobody will ever try. So it's very important to give things a try. Thank you very much. So next I ask Mr. Friand to come onto the floor. He's the founder and general director of Institute Open Diplomacy, as I spoke about at the very beginning, which is working together with the Parliamentarians for Peace. So what do you think about these young people who are very mature? Because you created Open Diplomacy, which is an association 10 years ago. Of course, it's still a public association, but could you please give us a few ideas and a little bit of information about Open Diplomacy? I could talk about it a long time, but I'd like to talk about the reason why I put things together. I think I was maybe 4 years older than my 2 colleagues here today, so I asked them to please keep this ambition within them. At that time, I was a student. It was around 2008, the financial crisis, and I was going to post-secondary education, and I was sure to get a job, but then the crisis came about, and I wasn't sure that I would find a job. And the G20 was saying that they were going to find a solution. Of course, the world leaders of the G20, they're much older. So I had an idea, which was to go and talk with the French president. And I said to Monsieur Sarkozy, the president at the time, you weren't elected because of for democratic reasons, but rather because French people were demonstrating against your opponent in the elections. So I said to him, young people have ideas. And I have an idea of how I want to move forward with my life. As all young people, I want to be listened to. My English said nothing about us without us. And the French president, Mr. Sarkozy, who loved budget austerity, he said to me, just do it, but we're not going to spend anything on it. So put together your G20 for young people. So your idea was to create, 11 years ago, the G20 for young people, G20 youth. Same thing for the G8. And in France, Open Diplomacy were the people who coached, financed, and recruited those who could really go up, step up, and talk with the G20 and the G8. And so the 1st October, one, for example, goal in the little notebook was that they should defrost their freezer. So these are practical tips. But behind those tips, there are many political challenges. And this was our challenge. We were looking at a worldview. I see that I have very determined youth beside me here. And I said, this project is my job. I don't want to work in finance. I didn't want to get a finance salary. And I realized that I have to give a voice to those who don't have a voice at a global level. It could be young people, it could be parliamentarians. Everybody wants to talk. So I created a link-up. I'm always linking up parliamentarians and citizens. I'm linking up young people, old people. I'm linking up DD5, which fights for gender equality, and SDG 13 concerning pollution. So I just wanted to say one thing. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. But we have to keep in mind that we're not going to solve all of the world's problem with one thing. So, for example, talking the plane, we have people here from India, from Togo. If these people don't together, they will not find a solution. And not only the solutions that we're talking about here today, but solutions also that are in your notebook. So don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Don't give up if you find that you're not having the success what you wanted to. So I put together the Parliamentarians for Peace list, and I showed in this list how we want to solve problems. This is our roadmap. You see here on my lapel, it's a pen, and it's the lapel that represents the SDGs. Every person proposes its own list or its own program, and from the entire world, and the Parliamentarians for Peace do the same thing. So Give it a try. What does that mean? I think Thomas has showed us that you should give it a try, because if you go on the Open Diplomacy website, you'll see the fact that the fertile soil that he was working in and how it did actually bear fruit. You're speaking now. Would you like to ask Mr. Thomas a question? How did you observe at the parliamentarian level that these parliamentarians wanted to listen to young people, and how did they do that? So it depends on which level you're looking at. In France, it's progressing, yes. We're moving forward. It's very slow, but it is moving forward. And I can tell you that there would be no G20 youth if France had not brought this idea forward. It's fascinating to see how civil society, in particular youths, can be implicated at the international level. We have a free speech here in France, which is absolutely exceptional, and we can talk with a variety of people. There's no Chinese parliamentarian in here. I don't have to tell you why. Because in China, if you're a parliamentarian, if you're young or you're old, you cannot think as you want. And this also concerns the SDGs. I'm not attacking China, which has a millennial history, but the Chinese Communist Party gives no options, gives no open doors to youth to speak about their future, because it's a totalitarian state that supervises youth from their very young age, which imposes their own model, saying that this way and that way are the best ways to solve climate change. So in France, French young people are very frustrated because everyone is somehow worried about where the world is going, not only young people, but also our grandparents. And why do they worry? Because we love each other. So in some countries, this discussion has never even really gone forward, and I would like to speak for the parliamentarians that are here today, for example, from Togo or from India. I would like to say that they are free. And I was really happy that Jonas, the director of an institute which is organizing this program, who really values freedom. He was the one who proposed this exchange, because the way that we can move forward is with freedom. And freedom is not a right. It's an obligation to really exercise it. It's what you did. You take the floor, you take the mic, you put together the agenda, and then people will start listening to you. When I went to speak with Mr. Sarkozy, I was at the G8 in Deauville, and I was beside Mr. Strauss-Kahn. And so I sat there beside him, but unfortunately he didn't come. And I sat there. To my left, or to my right, was Mr. Obama. I was a little bit nervous, but it was the first time. And each time you need a first time. And even when it was with Chinese or with Saudis, it was always the same thing. Why? Because this global civil society that we are organizing, despite the fact that freedom is somewhat in not the best situation right now, we're making sure that it goes forward. Thank you very much.
Right. Well, it's extremely interesting to understand how an idea is born, how it emerges. We saw that with Camille, and we saw how it spreads with Thomas Friant, the Director General of Open Diplomacy. Thank you very much. We'll continue with SDG 16, Justice and Efficient Institutions. It's the SDG on which you worked in 2020-2021. And in order to talk about it again, a few students, Oscar, Manuel, Emile, and their teacher, Marine Roussel, from the Le Ferronnet School in Cherbourg-en-Cotentin in Normandy. Please. Thank you very much. We just take a few seconds to clean up the microphones. So I'm here with Oscar, Alex, Axel, Jeanne Lejeune, Émile Alborino, and Marine Roussel, their teacher. One first question. When you started working on SDG 16, pay peace, justice, and efficient institutions. You were just school students, pupils. So, Oscar, can I ask you how you start wanting to fight for this SDG? You can take off your mask if you want to answer. Okay, you want to keep your masks on? It's up to you, no problem. No problem. Right, so when you're school children, when you're 14, 15 at school, what makes you wish to commit in favor of peace, justice, and efficient institutions, where we're always turning towards the Open Diplomacy Institute, where we heard about this project, we liked it, we started working on it, and we did everything we could to succeed. Let's talk together about what you did. Show us. So you published an illustrated booklet about justice. Who wants to tell us what it's all about? Oscar? Do you want to do that? Right. So there were 22 of us in the classroom, and each pupil wrote a text and did an illustration, and that gave us 34 pages in total, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember something that really moved me a great deal. We had a foreign person in the classroom that had suffered from harassment and shared what happened to them with us. And that's why we made this booklet, and we're very proud about the results. Yes, you might be. You addressed the fair trial issue, death penalty as well, major issues, key issues for the world, for our future as well. A question for Emile, maybe. So is it easy to talk about all these issues amongst yourselves? When you're 14, 15, is it easy to talk about this when you come from different backgrounds, when you talk about fair trial, inequality, death penalty, etc.? Well, normally it's difficult to talk about these subjects because it's not normally what you discuss with your friends or family or people you talk to usually. But thanks to Alexandra and others who organized discussions in the classroom, everybody was able to express themselves, even after the classes. So we were able to have structured discussions, and even though we sometimes disagreed, we didn't fight. I mean, there was no problem, honestly. And we were able really to say what we thought, honestly. And there was always a great deal of respect during the discussions, but there were no tensions. So if there were tensions, you were always able to overcome them. As the minister said, you were always able to continue listening to one another. Well, when there is a disagreement, normally you always want to have the last word, but we organized many debates, and thanks to that, we were able to find an agreement, thanks to the fact that everybody had arguments, and we could recognize that others were right because their arguments were better. Now, for you, is it something that changed your outlook on the world? Can you speak really into the microphone? We can't hear you. Yes. Well, yes, I think we all changed. Because at the beginning, we didn't think all the time about peace, justice, or efficient institutions, and we all developed a new vision. We all grew because of this activity. Now we're here with Marine Roussel because we can't forget the teachers. Nothing would happen without motivated teachers that encourage pupils, students to get involved and engaged. You're an English teacher, Marine, so this is a very good tool. Everything is translated into English, and it's not necessarily simple. And I think that they really were passionate about this, Marine, right? No, it's true, and I was not alone. There were other teachers working with us. The history and geography teacher, Mrs. Vassla, is also in the audience. Please, come and join us. Please, come with us. It's a team of teachers here. Yes. So we were a team of teachers and 2 classrooms, so there were 2 projects. The booklet, 22 students or pupils in favor of justice, Oscar and Emil's classroom last year, and another project focused on peace, that was Axel's classroom, and they discussed these 2 projects in English. So it was a project based on an exhibition on drawings, and the young people were really in control. They led the teachers, they guided the teachers. Axel, can you tell us more about this exhibition? Because you were the guides, the leaders. You were the teachers, actually. You were explaining to the teachers what they were seeing. Yes, we helped all the school pupils who had peace and was, and there was a virtual wall on which they could leave a message after the exhibition, after seeing the exhibition, and they could also leave messages on paper in the classroom, and half the school saw the exhibition. So that is all in favor of progress. Marine, did it change your ideas about these young school pupils, or did you know that they were mature and already adults because of your experience? Well, I've always been in favor of educating young children and students with projects, with real projects. It gives meaning. And with these projects, the pupils really become players, and we are really withdrawing. We are in the back, and that improves the quality of the education that we give. Well, I think we can really give you a big round of applause for that. We can really congratulate you, because we would love to have teachers like you everywhere. Only teachers love you. Now we have a great witness, a major witness. He's a member of parliament in the Togo National Assembly and fights for the new commitment of Togo. Jerry Tahama, please join us.
Please take the floor. Let's specify that Mr. Tahama, you're an ex-military man. You worked on a peacekeeping message with UNC. Peace, freedom, personal engagement, all of this is important for you. What is your reaction when you hear these people, the teachers, the young people? It really makes me emotional, because I'm 46 years old. Today is my birthday, actually. Happy birthday to Mr. Tahama. So I think about 20 years ago, would I have had the same maturity? Would I have been able to talk about these adult topics? 15 or 16 years old, you don't talk about peace. You don't talk about climate change. We use PlayStation, and we're just hanging around. So I'm very touched by their maturity, and I'm also very admirative of the work that the teachers are putting into it. So I see that really the next generation is going to really take on these problems. Alexandra, give her a hand to Madame Alexandra. You have to keep in mind, all of you young people, that you're the ones who are going to have to take over the reins. We say that the young people are going to take over, that the world is in their hands. Is it not possibly true that some people say that because they want to pass the hot potato, if you like? Of course, I'm not sure. We can only transmit when you're an example, and when you're sure of the example that you're giving. and you're sure of the path that you're taking. When I was a military man, you don't say, go and do it as a military man, you say, follow me. So we have to give an example. We have to show them which way, how to do things, and the best practices. We have to change our own ways of being before trying to change other people. It's not quite, we can't say that they're going to take over so they'll do all the work. We have to make sure that we're examples. Yes, that's very important. This message, we can see that it's really encouraged also by the teachers, the parliamentarians for peace. I'd like to talk to them about them. We want to see what they have to say about the entire world. You've decided to speak amongst yourselves, listen to each other, and to act on a more global level. So please talk about your cooperation and collaboration. So the PFP, Parliamentarians for Peace, allows people who might not have the opportunity to discuss. Everybody talks about national sovereignty, and sometimes we're in our own bubble. So this initiative is good because it links up people who may not have been able to meet up before. I would have met Mr. Manish, who lives in India, in Mali, for example. So we're able to meet up with very different people. And after we discuss with people, we see that we have the same problems. It's very interesting. Because we see we share the same planet, and we share the same planet. I'm in Togo, a very small country. In Normandy and Togo, we suffer from ocean level rising. We have villages that are disappearing, ecosystems are disappearing, and we realize that when we discuss that it's the same reality everywhere. So that the problems that we're facing are not only those of our small little area. We see that the most problems are worldwide. So then we try to look for worldwide solutions. We live in a hot equatorial country, and we know that other people with other realities have the same problems, as I just said, about ocean level rising. So we could decide to do nothing, or we could decide to take on and go on a better path, to maybe give a better solution. And I think that together we can find solutions. Do you have any questions? Alex, Oscar, Emile. Do you have any questions for this parliamentarian? How do you fight for peace now? When we talk about peace, violence, war, I know what they're talking about because I was a peacekeeper in Ivory Coast. Nobody shot at me, otherwise I wouldn't be here, but I can really state that I know what violence and war is. And I see that these countries now are living more or less peacefully. So when we're in peace times, we don't really realize how lucky we are to live in a peaceful environment. So it's important to communicate, to exchange. Now we have something that's absolutely great, which is internet, which allows us to somehow get rid of various differences. It allows us to exchange concerning our experiences. And as I said, we're all in the same train, so as a parliamentarian, it allows us to be lucky to communicate with young people. I have a Facebook page with 80,000 followers, and I speak a lot with these young people to talk about sustainable development, for example. In Africa, we don't have young people who have been really made aware of all the problems, because in Africa we're thinking about eating actually what we have to eat, meaning do we have enough to eat, rather than thinking about the SDGs. So, but with social media, internet, we're able to talk with people with totally different horizons. So this year, for example, the Togolese Parliament started a very ambitious program to plant 1 million trees, and it wasn't only to plant them but also to maintain them, because sometimes there are tree planting programs in which they plant a lot of trees, but they don't look after them. So today we're doing something more concrete. We're planting the trees, but we're also saying that we're going to maintain them and make sure that in 5 or 10 years the trees will still be there. So we're doing these initiatives. We're acknowledging the risks, but then we're also doing things on the ground. Last thing, nowadays, Africa has 12 hours of sunlight per day, so we're thinking a lot about renewable energies. So, for example, we're trying to install solar lamps in villages. Maybe in France, you cannot imagine that people spend the entire night with no light. It's the reality for many people around the world. So we are trying to give them lamps, solar-powered lamps. So this allows them after 6 o'clock to study and continue on with their lives. Jerry Tama, thank you very much, who is a parliamentarian in the Togolese parliament. So thank you to Alix, Askel, Jan, and Marine Roussel, and Céline Vasselin. A big round of applause. Thank you very much. So we just wanted to say something small. We wanted to say happy birthday to Clémence, who is from the Human Rights Institute. Happy birthday, Clémence. So let's now talk with the organizers. We wanted to say a few words about the ECO tool. Is Mr. Benoît Lemonnier, or is it Mr. Deputy President? 2 minutes, he'll be here. So we'll wait about 2 minutes to present this tool. What is this project? It is the continuation of Walk the Global Walk. It's a European project. The Normandy region and also the Institute wish to move forward with this project. Of course, we're waiting for more European projects to come on board. So they created the ECHO project. So Mr. Deputy President will speak about it. But can I have some feedback from the audience here, from what they have heard? We've heard that they are working very hard. The parliamentarians are working very hard. We have a minister present here today and someone who created open diplomacy, OD, someone who was sitting between Mr. Sarkozy and Mr. Obama. Is there any feedback, reactions, comments? Because it's your voices which interest me. Does anybody wish to take the floor? It can also be a teacher about what you've just heard, not only from your colleagues, but also from the from the parliamentarians. Nobody wants to say anything? Yes? Please give us your first name. My name is Anouk, and I'd like to know what the MPs are working on in specific terms. What are their roles and what are their actions? Thomas, Mr. Tama, would you like to come and answer? Mr. Minister, would you also, would you also like to come to the floor? It's a very interesting topic. So each year there is a topic, and what is this year's topic? Who asked the question? Madame? The Declaration for Parliamentarians for Peace this year, we responded to the forum that the forum's challenge, which is Govern for Peace. And it said we had to look at 4 major challenges. Firstly, climate, health. It was right in the middle of the COVID crisis. Inclusion, social inclusion. For example, Black Lives Matter started to be a flashpoint. In France, We also have to think about this because we have problems with racism, handicapped people, women. France chaired the Equality of Gender Summit this year. And fourth subject that Manish is very specialized in, which are technological questions. Because we all have a smartphone with us, which is looking at your personal data all the time. It also allows for people to avoid taxes. It connects us all, but the problem is that it changes the power struggle, the economic power struggle. And it also changes the financial and economic means that we have to really move forward with this ecological and economic transition. So I'd like to give you one concrete example. We tried to develop something that Jerry was really enthusiastic about. We had 15 parliamentarians this year. I'm not sure if you were at the plenary. We talked about the reform of the Security Council in the United Nations. It's a very big topic, and we understood that there were superpowers. Those who won World War II, they had a veto right, and they had the right to block everything that was taking them. So when a genocide happens, of course, there's always a country that uses its veto right because he has interests in the country where this genocide happened. Is this acceptable? No. That means that we created and we gave the means to the United Nations to actually work against the San Francisco Charter. So Parliamentarians for Peace, PFP, we were a little bit working on this a little bit before Normandy last year, when we said when there is a genocide, we have to forbid the use of the right to veto. So when China massacres Uyghur people in concentration camps, castrates people, we cannot accept that it can use its veto right to avoid defending Uyghurs. When Mr. Bashar al-Assad uses gas, a word that wasn't used since the Second World War, using sarin gas, which makes you feel strangled and which makes you throw up. And when he uses this to kill civilians, Russia used its veto right 11 times, not once, not twice, 11 times. It's absolutely unbelievable that this veto right has meaning. So Parliamentarians for Peace said one thing: United Nations is an absolutely spectacular organization, and we can't throw everything away. So let's just change, or just twerk one setting, because the world is like a sandcastle. We just have to forbid using the veto, at least when it concerns a situation when you're trying to avoid a genocide. Of course, Mr. Tama worked on SDG 16 concerning peace. So I'd just like to say something quickly. One example concerning Togo. 1.5 giga costs 77.5 euros, and the minimum monthly salary is 50 euros. So it's very expensive. When I worked on technological innovation, and nowadays this technological innovation has to be distributed better and shared better. So we put together a roadmap and a proposal plan to show the youth here that you may be so lucky to have access to the internet. 1.5 gigabytes represents 20% of the monthly minimum wage. So it's really you're very lucky here. And this is something that we want to work on, and we want to increase distribution and increase access to technological innovation. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you, Chéri Tama and Thomas Friant. We are extremely late, sorry. Now let's move on to the presentation of ECHO. And François-Xavier Priolo, the Vice President of the Normandy region in charge of Europe, international affairs and the influence of Normandy. Welcome. So we're moving from Walk the Global Talk, the European 3-year program that reached its end, to the ECHO program created by the Normandy region and implemented by the International Institute for Human Rights and Peace. You are in charge of it, yes. Well, dear Jonas, we are working together, and I'm always extremely happy to talk to students and talk about the extension of Walk the Global Talk, a European program supported and launched by the European Commission. And we thought it would be a pity to stop with this program, because we should not stop educating about SDGs because the European project was stopping, and we love to continue working in the long term. And thanks to Thomas Frion and the Parliamentarians for Peace that will meet again later on, we decided to launch this initiative. And it's very important to sow some seeds for the future. And we try to set up measures, actions that are consistent and they are really linked up with the SDGs through the ECHO program that was invented by the Institute for Human Rights and Peace. So our constitution, our roadmap is this manifesto. And this manifesto is completely consistent with the SDGs because it is about the long-term objectives. The problem in today's societies is that you have the political time, the time of the media, bad weather as well. It's a play on work that doesn't work in English, but in French. And people usually lack perspective. And when you are addressing emergencies, very often you think that you've addressed what is important, but it's not always the case. So what ECHO is about is what is important, what is essential, and in a school curriculum, in education, and I was saying that yesterday when we were awarding the Liberty Award, the Freedom Prize. It is important not only to address academic topics, but also to understand the major issues of the world. And, there are measures in the SDGs about peace, justice, and efficient institutions, and also the fight against climate change. And, you are the ones who are going to be responsible for training your parents and grandparents. We've seen that whether we agree with the method or not, I'm not crazy about Greta Thunberg's pessimism. I think that to make progress in life, you have to be really confident rather than diffident. But she's very young, and she's really carrying and raising mountains, and her generation understands that. And we understand that we also need to give you an interesting content. And through this educational program coordinated by the Institute for Democracy and Peace, which is the coordinator of these programs, the goal is to enable you to embody these sustainable development goals, because all this is very theoretical, and it is actually our daily life. And we need to have moments together, moments to share, to dialogue, to embody these objectives. And maybe beforehand all this seemed complex to you, and suddenly now it becomes clearer. And educating on SDGs is not about dogma or ideology. It is very pragmatic, very practical, and it's based on values, on fundamental values. And you're the guardians of these values, because if you don't take action today, if we don't take action today, the world of tomorrow will maybe not exist. So thank you. We need you. You are ambassadors, but you are not representatives that are only representing ideas and doing nothing. You are taking action. I know you only had 5 minutes, so please, you can leave us, but thank you very much, Mr. Vice President, for joining us. And now let's continue with the third panel, education on SDGs. I'd like to invite Alexandre Schausch, Nolwenn Fischer, and Mrs. Greshnoniak to join us. We need some time to clean up the microphones. Please join us and take a seat. So, more actions, more commitment. Nolwenn, can you tell us about the action, the measures you have implemented? Who would like to present it? Alexandre, you created it, so you created an association. Can you tell us more about it and about its goal, its objectives? Yes, last year we created an association which aim is to carry out environmental projects and educate, raise awareness about the environment to school students and the public at large. And last year at the Lycée Hortipol in Évreux with our professor, Mrs. Kreshkoviats, and our English teacher is also at the back of the room. We created this association, which was really dear to our heart, because before that we were just students, and now we are the creators of an association that has dealt with major projects. What has it done? Well, it's done a lot. In just 1 year, we participated in a call for sustainable projects in Normandy, and also in projects organized by the National Office for Forest. We were fortunate enough to be nominated for the awarding of trophies, which is an award that rewards the best project. Amongst 190 submissions nationally, we represented the Normandy region. So that's not bad. Nolwenn, well, what I understand is that it's important to dare, because you can go far when you dare. Why did you want to commit yourself, Nolwenn? What does it mean for you? Was it natural for you? Did you think, well, I need to do that, or was it natural? Well, for me, it was natural. It was natural because at home I do quite a lot about waste, recycling, plants, all kinds of projects that you can do with recycled objects, etc. So I really enjoyed participating in this association to take this further and to launch new projects and to work with other people so that the project can be extended, so that the association can be known and recognized for everything that it does. I'm going to turn to Christelle Krasnoviak, your teacher. What can be done so that the young people remain in control and support them at the same time without leading them too much? Is it easy? Well, we see when we look at the projects that we did this year with the European Institute for Human Rights, we see that it is the students that choose a project linked with an SDG. They create the project, they achieve the project, and we're here to support them. And, they also think about potential actions that they can carry out in their school or outside to educate, to raise the awareness of other students. Yes, we're talking about the Lycée Hortipol of Évreux. Do you already have this sensitivity? You've chose this branch because you have an appetite for that. Yes, these students are very much aware of the environment, of the need to preserve biodiversity. These objectives that are very dear to their hearts, and they're ready to commit themselves as well about food, about limiting food waste, and yes, all these issues. Now, let's go on, because we are lucky enough to have a parliamentarian with us again from Open Diplomacy. Please, can you give a very warm welcome to Rosa Björk, Brynjolfsdottir. You are a member of parliament in Iceland. You're also a journalist, madam. I did not dare, Rosa Bjork, take up the challenge of pronouncing your full name. Can you do that for me, please? Hello, everybody. You have the best grade if you can pronounce Brynjolfsdóttir. Who would like to attempt that? Go for it. Well, I was saying that you're a journalist. We're talking about transmission. It is also something that you've been involved in all your life. Was it something that's always motivated your professional commitment and actions? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Before I became a member of the Iceland Parliament, I was not only a journalist, I was also a mountain guide, actually. So I loved nature. I was exposed to nature all the time, and climate is also something that interests me a great deal. And everything, or most of what I did in Parliament had to do with climate and nature. Well, you know, Iceland is also a country that has this image of being very clean and pure. We have natural springs, and we are a very rich country. We only have 340,000 inhabitants in Iceland, so you can meet Icelanders easily. And it's lucky for you to meet an Icelander. But we also have the highest pollution rate per inhabitant in Europe, because it means that... No, sorry, we have the lowest rate because we use these natural renewable energies that comes from our ground, and also hydroelectrical energy that we produce in Iceland to produce energy for heavy industry. 90% of our energy goes into that, and it causes a great deal of pollution. And so that's a major project for us to completely change this situation. And young Icelanders do the same as you do here. They demonstrate, they protest, they ask politicians to do something. And we really thank you for your energy, for your efforts, for encouraging us, for pushing us, we members of parliament, to do better and not simply to walk faster but to run, because we don't have time. We need to act now.
So I'd like to give the floor to young people. Maybe they can ask you a few questions. Do you have any questions for the MP? 3 questions. Start with the first one. So, as an association, we have a question that is important for everyone concerning a foreign country. Would it be possible to stay in contact, to maybe do projects together, awareness projects, to maybe give something to you and also get something from you? To collaborate between associations, of course, absolutely. I am very happy, and I will be happy to help you with that. Yes, as you see, you have to really give something a try. Another question? I forgot it. I think you wanted to know what did you commit to? What did you do in the schools? At what level do Icelandic young people? How do they commit to works? Do they project? Are there like environmental projects? Of course, there are many ways to do so, like here in France. Every Friday noontime, they go and demonstrate in front of the parliament. They write a lot of letters. We had parliamentary elections last Saturday, and about 2 or 3 weeks earlier, it's a good idea for you, there was an organization which asked all of the political parties to present all of the documents concerning what they've done concerning climate change. So they put together a charter to mark what they've done, 1 out of 10. I think it's a really good idea, because as politicians we were shaking because knowing what mark we were going to get. We don't want to get bad marks. They want to show that they're committing. It's a great idea. You have to. We want to see what you've been doing, and I think you're going to exchange your contact details. So, thank you very much. So we've taken all the time that we have, so we have to wrap up here. The exchange has just started, and I think really you have to give it a try. I hope in next year in Iceland, the ECHO project will say yes, 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 we've been working together. Alexandra and Juliet will come up to the front. Do I have to introduce them? So Alexandra and Juliet, and they're working at the International Institute of Human Rights and Peace. So let's wrap up this great discussion. So you're going to have a look at the ECO project. Many of you know about it already. So exchanges have been done. Everybody's got their business cards. Juliette. So when you speak about really working on projects, you're working in the civic service in the Institute. I started in 2020 in the civic service on Walk to the Global Walk. What is a civil service? You do it between 16 and 25 years old. Everything depends on what you want to do. For me, I worked 9 months in the Institute, and you work on a project, and we work on a citizenship project. Do you have a specific memory? Yes. Best moment, for example, was my best moment was training facilitators, student facilitators. We really see that they're working on the project and that they're doing it in good faith and they're working together. And that allows them to work together and really commit to the project. So it's your project, and I think you really are moving forward with this. So Alexandra, we've spoken about the ECO project. So we're going to continue with this meeting. What is the ECO project? So what do you have to look forward to? So it's the continuity of the program Walk the Global Walk. And we had a few changes, not only for the teachers but also for the students. We're working on SDG 4, equality education, so that we can propose quality education. And so we propose to the teachers concerning tools that they may use for concerning human rights, and that they use them in a complementary way, and that they can do this in a very and give quality education to their students. And we also continue with what we tested in Walk the Global Walk, which is a type of public consultation. We asked young people, local authorities, and stakeholders to give their opinions as to what was actually done. So, and we did that also this year, and we want to continue move forward doing a class project or put together recommendations that the Normandy youth may want to put in place, not only for quality education in Normandy. So we're very lucky to have it here in Caen, but it's also working in the world. So a big round of applause. The director is going to come up onto the stage for the photo. Bravo to everyone. Thank you very much for your committing, for your hard work. Move forward, and we'll meet up next year. Thank you.